Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Like and subscribe.
Welcome to the Sit, Walk, Work podcast, a show about paying attention. My name is Dominic and I'm your host, and today is a guided meditation. And what you can expect is that the practice will open up with a brief recap, followed by the actual practice itself. If you find today's episode valuable, please share with your friends and family, and feel free to leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. The show will begin after the following chimes. I'll give us a quick recap on kind of where the journey went for practice. And like I said, if there's any questions about the practice or about meditation in general, I'll leave space for that at the end of the recap. So today's practice was centered around a bit of gratitude, a little bit of loving kindness, or just general well wishing of ourselves, right? Which can sometimes be a challenging topic for us because to kind of shine the light of love towards ourselves isn't always easy. And so I started us off by grounding in our breath and kind of getting used to this idea of anchoring towards an object, which was the breath in this case. And then we moved from anchoring to the breath to kind of noticing the way our thoughts kind of show up and what that whole thing looks like from the mind. Sometimes it can be really noisy, especially if this is your first time sitting. The mind's got a lot going on in there and it can be kind of noisy. Over time, it gets less noisy. And then we decided to move, or I decided to move us towards just focusing on wishing ourselves well. And there was two ways I kind of approached it, right? Like you could do that, just wishing yourself well and wanting well for yourself. But if that wasn't enough of a motivator, I invited you to think about wishing that for a younger version of yourself or someone, or the idea that you take the same energy that you would give to someone you cared about or something you cared about, and then wish that energy towards yourself a bit. So we played with that. And then I asked you to kind of physically notice the sense of your heartbeat and your breath and the deep gratitude that we can show to those very simple but profound things that we often take for granted or just go unnoticed because we're busy. And then, yeah, that kind of brought us full circle to an open awareness. And this is a 30-minute guided meditation for those of you who are new here with us, and in which I will be providing a series of prompts that kind of point your attention towards, and then I'll give you some space to practice and play with those with those ideas and concepts. And then at the end of class, if there's any questions, I can recap for you. I will recap for you, and then I can answer any questions you might have about meditation or the practice that we go through today in general. And so, first things first, most of you are settled in. And by settled in, I mean seated, lying down, lying back in a position where you're going to be steady and stable for the next 30 minutes. This is a non-movement class, so the less movement, the better. The more you can focus your attention internally instead of externally. With that, I asked you take a breath in and see how that feels. As long as you can take a full breath in and a breath out, then you're pretty much set up in a reasonably decent posture. So if you need to adjust for that. And then I ask you to close the eyes and place the hands somewhere where they're not going to be kind of moving around or distracting you from the practice. Closing the eyes turns the attention inwards, and it puts the spotlight internally on you. Throughout the day, you've been moving externally, putting your energy towards other things, people, objects outside of you. And now you get to be the center of attention for yourself in this time that we have together. Moving from the space of witnessing, I ask you to be curious, be open, and be interested in what comes up, not judgmental. Don't strong arm yourself. Like, this is the place where you don't need to be right or wrong. It's just about getting to know and see how the parts of practice change, and also how we sometimes cling and hold on to those things a little bit longer and thus create our own discomfort. So when you close the eyes and you immediately start to notice what you notice. For some of us, that might be our physical bodies and how that feels today. It might be some sounds, um, either in your home or just outside of the home, that are kind of pulling your attention. It might be the way you're breathing, or it might be a racing mind where there's thoughts that are coming and going. And there's no wrong answer to what is here. It's more about, look at that, followed by, look at that, and notice just how it all changes and shifts from moment to moment. Letting your attention begin to drop in to your breath, using that as our first anchor of focus, letting the attention feel and notice where the breath is coming in to the body. As you take a breath in, take a breath out. You might notice that with each breath, you feel the physical body react to that breath. There's space being made, this expansion and contraction quality taking place. And it's about feeling the rhythm of that breath, whatever that natural in and out flow is for you today. Noticing where in the body the breath shows up. For some of us, it might ride a little higher up in the chest, but you might naturally feel it in your belly too, or some combination thereof. It's interesting as you begin to just observe your body breathing, there's this natural thing that sometimes occurs in which we start to influence the breath a bit, even if we're not trying to. Kind of just happens as our attention begins to let itself rest here on the breath. The other thing that typically occurs whenever we ask our attention to kind of lock in and focus on one thing, it gets tugged at. Other things want your attention. Oftentimes, it is the thinking mind that is looking to pull your attention away from the thing that you're focusing on. In this case, it's your breath. And so, if you find yourself being pulled into thought, and you can notice that by noticing kind of where you are in time. Typically, the thoughts pull us to the present or to the past or to the future, or to any other place other than right here with your breath. And should that happen and you notice it, then you have passed the first test of being aware, aware that your attention isn't where you want it to be. And then you are given the opportunity to bring the attention back to the breath, back to that anchor. All the while witnessing this dance kind of take place, holding attention, the mind distracting you, and then returning the attention back to the breath. And in the act of working with our attention in this way, you create the condition to be a little more loving and a little more kind to yourself when things don't go the way you originally planned. And in the same way you've been witnessing the breath thus far in your practice, begin to let your attention notice your thinking mind, the thoughts that are arising in this moment. And we take this witness perspective towards those thoughts just to one, get a sense for what's coming up, if they're being supportive or non supportive, if they are taking you to the past, to the future, or what the general quality of your thinking mind is in this moment. The breath, the thoughts, the things that we are looking at as objects in our practice, they're all tools help to kind of to help guide us and hold us here in the present moment. And as we learn to work with them, they can also help us shape shape our mind, our attitudes, our feelings, so on and so forth. And the goal here as you observe your thoughts is to simply kind of let them move with the same energy you let your breath move, rather than grabbing them or following one down a rabbit hole too far. Just let them move through like a stream, unblocked, free to flow, free to come, free to go. Now, observing the thoughts is one part of our practice, but we can also start to shape and inform. It's kind of coming and going. So I'd like to take an opportunity to begin to do that a bit, to work towards a sense of kindness and love towards ourselves. And the way that I'd like for us to approach it today is that I'd like for you to consider the idea of wanting or wishing well for yourself. And when I say that, I mean the version of you that is listening to this practice, but I also mean the little child in there, the younger version of you that could have used a bit of kindness, a bit of patience, understanding, support. And it's this idea that as you reflect on that part of yourself, that you want nothing but goodness for that part of yourself. And allow this idea to kind of move around in the space of your awareness and to feel it in addition to the thought of it, to feel it in the breath, to feel it in the body. There's a part of you that you want nothing but for it to feel safe and protected, to know and be filled with happiness, to have peace and a sense of ease and kindness. Like this is a deep wish that you have for yourself and maybe even for others. In this way, we offer ourselves this gift, this wishing of wellness and support and safety for ourselves. We feel it in our bodies and in our breath as a reminder that it's in us, not out of us, that these things are generated. And then we can overcome the resistance we might have to the idea that we are worthy of this, then it opens the doors for us to expand it beyond ourselves. So if you feel the tug of resistance to the idea that you are worthy to have, to want, to welcome kindness in towards yourself, see if you can soften that a bit and leave space for you to receive the same kindness and love you would give to a good friend, to a child, to a loving pet. And if you can feel this as a sensation in your body, let your attention rest in that sensation, rest in that space. The present moment, it's often said that the present moment, when you're there isn't anything that you need or want. Everything kind of rests in the deep presence of the moment. And there's subtle ways you can find that. So let your attention come to the space of your heart. And the attempt here is to connect to the feeling of your heart beating and feel your breath moving. And as you hold your attention here in the space of your heart, understand that the fact that each beat happens, that each breath shows up, is in of itself its own miracle. And if for some reason they didn't show up, you would immediately understand the depth of that miracle. And with the next breath or the next beat, there lies your gratitude. Just this moment as it is. Allowing yourself to be connected to the divinity that makes this moment happen. There's nothing you need to do, it just unfolds on its own, in its own way. Even if the mind has been distracted, you're just coming back to the practice. Whether it's one rep or 1,000, each one is a step towards a bit of space and a bit of openness. The idea to recognize that you are moving closer towards the deepest part of yourself and being able to witness and observe all of these changing objects and phenomenons without the need to grab and hold them opens you up to the space and the opportunity for peace and contentment and all of the things that we work towards in this practice. In the last few minutes of practice, let your attention be soft and relaxed and open, meaning not focused on any one thing, but just kind of present with it all. When you're ready, you can begin to blink the eyes open. Slowly start to move the hands. Allow your external version of your world to now enter your field of vision. Now you just have more objects to pay attention to as we close out practice today.
That's the beauty of it.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. I invite you to check out my Substack, where we are building a community of like-minded individuals to discuss all topics related to the idea of paying attention. I hope to see you there. But until then, with metta may you be well.
Like and subscribe.